Hello again, friends! Welcome back. My name is Oscar Montes Iga, certified wine and spirits instructor for the International Wine and Spirits Guild, and I'm at the Booze Library here at Uncork Vintage Academia. Thanks for joining me again here at the third installment of Brandy Around the World, basically. That's what you've been experiencing with me. We started in Palestine, particularly in Bethlehem or the West Bank, with the Kremison estate producing a 35-year-old brandy. Then we moved to Ararat, or the Armenian Ararat, 10-year-old brandy with a huge tradition as well. And today we are visiting South Africa in the region of Paarl. In Paarl, we have this producer Warshay, and they're bottling something called KWV brandy. This is a pot still small batch brandy with 12 years of age, sitting at 40 ABV, again from South Africa. And I think it's important to mention, which we didn't touch in the past so far, that this brandy is produced, and it's telling you that it was produced with a pot still. Excuse me. That is a copper pot still. And that's important to note because in countries where maybe there's really not a huge tradition of making brandy, or sometimes other spirits in general, they could be using column stills or industrial grade stills, these huge, immense, continuous stills that basically pump products in and out every day. And a pot still is a lot more laborious. It's very work intensive, and it's also telling us that they produce their product in smaller batches, because again, a pot still can only be so big, and there are definitely smaller pot stills versus other big pot stills. But even in a big pot still, you are limited in the amount of initial product that you put in to distill. And so the fact that they're telling us it is a pot distilled brandy, or a still pot, tells us that they're working with smaller batches than if they were working with a continuous or a column still. This brandy spends time in French oak barrels, and I think it's both a region that's very underappreciated for brandy, because they do produce a good output for export in the wine market, the table wine market. But I think people may not still be looking at South Africa as a premium destination for brandy drinkers. And these producers, for example, they've been around since 1918, so already over 100 years of tradition, which is slightly less than the producers that we already saw from the late 1800s. Maybe not as huge background as we sometimes see in Armagnac or Cognac, where some of those houses could have been established in the 1700s. But still, obviously, there are going to be similarities. There's definitely going to be contrasting points. But the purpose of this series of episodes is to show you brandy around the world that is beyond Cognac, because a lot of people gravitate to Cognac, both in prestige. They have, again, a huge marketing campaign behind them, and they're obviously a lot more accessible, meaning they're almost in every market. Not accessible by price necessarily always, but they have a reach in the market in almost all corners of the world, versus the other smaller producers that are just starting to be seen in the export market more commonly. That's just kind of wanted a way to expand the horizons of you, my viewer, and my students. So let us give us a whirl to this brandy, South Africa. We're tasting neat, and the color is light. It is gold, light gold, with a straw transition and a thin clear edge. The first impression on the nasal impact is drying. and it is very fruit forward, fruit driven. There's a lot of honey, a lot of orange zest, a lot of pear and apple and apricot and peaches. There is chamomile, and there's also slight influence of tropical fruits like light banana or pineapple. There's quite a lot of pineapple actually. There's subtle baking spices. And there's also a very small, subtle hint or influence or resemblance of sherry wine. It's a little bit of like oxidized wine that's been fortified. A little bit of nutty influence, almonds or walnuts, pecan shells. There's also something very refreshing that I guess right now I'm attributing it to the both the fresh pineapple and the fresh orange zest. But there's something greener, almost herbaceous, like tarragon maybe. Fun nose, adequate and simple production intensity. The élevage is adequate and complex. Average length, and the character is fine. It's beyond ordinary. It's not necessarily changing a lot, but it's something I do want to keep revisiting. On the palate, there is a lot of similarities on the nose, but also it does change. There's new things. And I think it's a little more refreshing on the palate than I would have expected from all the ripe and honey-like influences on the nose, but it does have a refreshing quality, something I'm attributing maybe to the pineapple. There is orange marmalade, there's baking spices, and ginger, so there's something somewhat piquant that also, like ginger, is kind of refreshing. But it still tastes like a little bit of honey, like banana. There's a little bit of pear and apple and guava, so I think guava is a little new. It's got a medium intensity of flavors and complex. It is complex and harmonious. The balance in the components, the structural components, is very harmonious. Everything is working well together, and the overall impression is excellent. It's an excellent brandy. It's got a great typicity for brandy with all the honey qualities, the ripe fruits, the chamomile floral notes, the baking spices. I mean, it's hitting a lot of checkpoints and benchmark for what we expect out of an aged brandy. And again, if you go back to the first two episodes of the Palestinian and Armenian brandy, a lot of those boxes check us out as well. And I think they all have unique nuance and obviously character that identifies them as their own. But at the same time, they're all brandy at the end of the day, made with grape, which is something to clarify as well, because you can make brandy with other fruits. But these are all grape brandies. So they are hitting very, very similar boxes, even though they're aged and made in different places around the world. That does distinguish them from each other, and they introduce some variants of alternative universes in the flavor spectrum, the flavor wheel, if you want to put it that way. That makes them fun, exciting, and unique. So give it a whirl if you can find them. this finish is pleasant and very long. I can still taste, I would say, the tartness of the pineapple. The little light sweetness of the guava is there. A little bit of the banana, baking spice, chamomile is all there, still on the palate lingering. It's a very long finish. And again, just excellent produced brandy that is refreshing. It has nice fruitiness, nice élevage retention. I would pair this with a salad that has a lot of nuts. Maybe a salad with cashews, a salad with almonds. A cheese and charcuterie board would work well, but also specifically I want to pair this with a pâté. I think a pâté, or like a savory mousse, has a lot of richness and obviously savoriness, but this brandy will come in with those bright, semi-tart tropical flavors that will make a nice balance out of the dish as a pairing. That is really fun, and again, underappreciated. I think you can give them a try and not be disappointed with your purchase if you wanted to buy it. Thanks for watching. Again, that's really all I have for you now. Stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to taste Peruvian brandy. But I do want to thank you again for watching the series, to recommend to your friends that are learning about wine or spirits or cocktails. If you want to make a cocktail at your house, shoot me any questions you may have. Always looking for suggestions on what to make next. But also I appreciate you liking the episode and subscribing to the channel, so I know you're watching, and I know that you're gonna get a notification for your next episode as it gets uploaded. And also, again, just share with your friends. I really thank you for helping me grow the channel organically. There's no advertisements, no ads. If anything you see, at the beginning or the end of the video, maybe just YouTube, making their own money in their own way. But I'm not really sponsored by anybody. No particular brand, no particular producer, no particular distribution channel. This is all me wanting to share something fun for you and with you. So again, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for your next video. Cheers!